Um, you bring up a very interesting point about AI in teaching, right? For me, this has been a long-standing question, and you are into teaching, and you're a professor right now. Um, so when I think about teaching, this has not much to do with AI. This has much to do with like blockchain technology and what's happening with cryptos and everything. So when I was digging more into crypto and I was learning more about crypto, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, what is it, and trying to understand what it was, for me, a new thought process started. I'm like, everything is going to be non-centralized. Like that's where we are heading towards, right? So one of them was education, where Stanford or Harvard, they put their, like, 101 courses, or like, CS50 courses out on YouTube for free, which used to be like thousands of dollars, where like, you have to give a entrance exam, or like, to be qualified to even sit in that table to hear such amazing professors talk. So, my question to you is, what is the future of universities and education? Like with this YouTube being such an open source, and they I don't know where I read this. This was a while ago that I read this, but I clearly remember it saying um, Harvard and Stanford are making more money on YouTube by putting these courses out versus like having someone come in class and take those classes. So, is our universities gonna go away and most of us gonna learn stuff online, or like what is your take on this? Like,
I mean, since the invention of Google, there's always been information online. It's it's always been there. I mean, AI now packages in a much simpler, easier way. These MOOCs, you know, they make learning easier. They make it more affordable and accessible. I mean, not all of us can go to Harvard because it has this constraints. But then we all can have access to these courses. So definitely, it's a good thing. The problem is we tend to limit university education to just the degree, to just the learning instruction. It goes beyond that. um Sitting in a class with other colleagues, it you learn the you learn the idea of listening to other ideas from other people, and being more interactive, and being more collegial, being more open to other ideas, tolerant of other people's ideas. And not just that, um networking, no matter what happens, you go to schools like Washington and Lee, Harvard, you meet people who you network with, which will never happen if you do an online program. So that's also why you make lifelong friends, like me and you. If you had both done an online program at University of Tampa, we wouldn't be here talking. Yeah, we make we have lifelong memories. So there's those intrinsic part of college life, that it's not going to be reflected in these online AI MOOCs, system of education. And it goes back to what I was talking about regarding the fundraising thing, where you take a platform into the culture. It doesn't really reflect everything, even though it does fundraising very well. That closeness, cohesion you're talking about, it's not reflected. So similarly, there are so many things that I remember about University of Tampa with you that has nothing to do with the classroom. I don't think we ever took a class together, did we? Exactly. But then see how much influence you've had on my life, indirectly. And so because I've learned a lot from you also. It's all because we were in the same space, and the things that I learned from you had nothing to do with the grade that I got. you know there are so many times I have really good conversations and interactions in the classroom with my students, and that's not going to be possible in an online setting. And I get a chance to shape the values of these kids. I try to bring ethics into my teaching, and there's so many personal interactions that shape the lives of us and our students, and it will be really difficult to replicate these scenarios in an online setting. We will try, but we will not get it done really well. So all these things, I think, um, would make it really difficult for traditional universities to go away. Again, like I said, certain schools are primed to be there forever. Oxford is always going to be Oxford. Top schools are always the prestige on their degrees, their certificates are always going to be there. You know, I think schools that are unable to offer that prestige to their name, are the ones that are going to struggle, because then if nobody recognizes the certificate that I have, then why bother going there? But then I think that's a real concern, because then at the end of the day, if I can just sit home and get the degree, why wouldn't I do it? But then nobody will say no to a Harvard degree, you know. So I think the top schools are going to be fine. The prestigious schools, the schools that have value, added to their name and recognition, are going to be fine. I think the schools that are um somewhat, in the lower end of the rankings, those subjective, bias rankings, those are the ones that are going to struggle a little bit. But I think for people who really understand that, college education goes beyond just, what happens in the classroom, it's they would still understand the sorry, they will still understand the benefits of being on campus, and having those 4 years, transformational 4 years of your life.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. For me, like those 2 years with you was amazing, and my undergrad in India was amazing. Like I would never substitute that for an online course. Like even today, like UT does online courses. You know that, right? Post COVID, like
Oh
a
yeah,
couple
yeah, yeah, yeah.
online courses for us, it was not possible. And I always tell my like I know few people who go to UT. I'm like, dude, if you get a chance, don't choose online. Like just go and it's more fun, but they pick and choose online more. It's like, oh, so much easy. We have been through the boat and we know it's the best part of our life. So for me, when I think about it, like how would we get that to the next generation into their head that those will be the best days? Like will they really miss out on those things? Is it possible? Like those are the things.
They would, if we move to online, they would. And it's certain they wouldn't even know what they are missing out on. You know, like our ping pong games. All those interactions and everything. It's just what makes college fun. And so many of the skills I've learned, for my life, I didn't learn them in a classroom. I didn't learn them, in from professors. I learned them from my colleagues. Through interactions. I've built this cultural sensitivity that, from interacting with you, Maheen, Anjali, all my colleagues over the years, I've learned a lot from them, which has made me a better human being overall. And which is the point of going to college, is to make our people, our students better. And my current institution has that in their motto, is to train ethical leaders, responsible, students who come out and become more, culturally aware, ethical, leaders. And it goes beyond just, academic knowledge. It goes beyond, giving people cultural sensitivity, which is not going to happen if they don't interact with people who are not like them, which happens, in a college setting. So I think the value of education goes beyond just a certificate. Yeah. But I think online learning will help. It would make certain courses accessible, but I don't think it's going to replace uh, traditional learning.